Hello, Spirit House here. This is my second attempt at making this video. The first time I had everything was, I double checked was operative, but for some reason the audio didn't record at all. So someone doesn't want me to get this message out, but you know what I say to them? I flip the two birds, okay? So anyway, what I was saying was, um, this is a very important message because there's a gross imbalance in gender equality across the board in every area. And Earth has a 12,600 year, roughly 12,000 years to 12,600 years cycle of a magnetic pole reversal, which is devastating the sun micronovas. There's a nova or a super flare from the sun that stops the globe from turning for maybe a number of hours, just a few hours, like maybe up to 8 hours. And then it reverses in rotation. And along with that, the magnetic poles, when they get to a point of like 10 to 15 degrees imbalanced, then it can be violent. So there's a good chance that, we're already seeing increased volcanic and seismic activity on Earth. Okay, well, that's just the beginning. If that happens, then the oceans will cover the land. Plus the earth facing side of the sun, a good amount of the oceans will evaporate upon flash, and the surface, especially the sandy beaches and the deserts, the silica in the sand becomes glass. That's how hot it is. It becomes glass. That's why we find things in the Valley of the Kings and all over the earth and on the moon as well. Because when the sun does this, it affects the moon. That's like glass. That's what the mission to the moon, the moon mission was. Okay, the original moon mission was to confirm if there was glass crust found, fragments of it found on the moon, as there was on Earth, to confirm that there was a solar micronova that may have caused the magnetic pole flips that happen all the time. I mean, throughout Earth's history, this is a fact. If you look, scientists have done studies on the ocean floor and that have evidence of this. So it's not a first time thing. It's a reoccurring clock cycle, a planetary cycle. Um, you know, um, in the solar in our solar system, and this doesn't isn't just a scientific thing. It's got a spiritual meaning as well. As when we become unbalanced, when the imbalance is so great, when the evil overruns the earth, and there's an imbalance between feminine and masculine. Because if there's a balance between feminine and masculines on the earth, then it echoes and ripples throughout nature, throughout all of nature, and in the earth itself, which is a living organism. So, you know, when the imbalance becomes too great, the universe will always seek balance. Everything has to be balanced. You may get away with, like, okay, on a human 3D frame of mind, you may think, oh, I got away with this crime for 30 years. I got away with harvesting someone's energy and blocking all their love life and their finances for 30 years and trying to kill them. But the universe will always eventually balance itself out. There's an invisible side of everything that you see. There's an invisible side to it that is going. God and creator in the universe is always going to seek balance and find balance no matter what. So if you're sitting there chanting negative things all day at somebody, then that's all going to come back to you like I've said it before, like a Mack truck. I like that analogy, honestly, because that's what it's going to be like, and or may have already been like. I don't know. I don't follow the people that doppelgang me, and I don't even look at the people from my past. I don't spy them on social media. I'm not that way. I don't even care. I don't care what people from my past are doing, because I'm always focused on what I should be doing and my own life and my family and my children and my betterment. Because You can only lead by example. You can never persuade somebody to change or be another way, because that will never ever ever happen unless they have a burning desire within themselves to change themselves. You cannot ever change anybody. So if you're helping somebody that's codependent, and they're dragging you down, or they're setting you up in some kind of legal case, or they're trying to kill you, then you're only like a detriment to yourself. You know, that's, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And I learned that the hard way, believe me. But I've learned it. I've learned that lesson well. Okay. And what I'm saying, and that's kind of a digression, but in a way, it's very related. We have become so, as a society, because of our experiences in this life, and even though we don't realize it subconsciously in past lives, things repeat themselves until we get it right, and ascend, or evolve. And you know there's a gross imbalance in gender right now, between races, every socioeconomic classes. It's like, that God is going to hit the reset button very soon. Okay, we are in the midst, 200 years into a magnetic pole flip, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because when we heal ourselves, we heal the earth, because we are attached to the earth, and the earth is a living organism. When we heal gender imbalance, especially gender, and race, because everything after that will follow suit. It's a ripple effect, like I said before. But there's so many toxic parents out there now, because they were wronged. They just repeat the patterns. They don't think consciously. I mean, I did, and I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but I've lived a lot more lives than most people on earth, okay? So, and I'm not saying that, again, to be conceited, but what I've learned, I'm just trying to share my wisdom here, is that, you know, I had a really hard childhood, okay? It was not a role model or an ideal child. But regardless of that, when I was younger, when I was like a teenager, I said, when I have a family, I'm never going to make false promises to my kids, for one. If I cannot follow through with something, I'm not going to promise at all, because I don't want to break their hearts. Like, I looked at the things that I went through, and I said, okay, I'm going to do the opposite as a parent. And I did that. I did that. I followed through, but not everybody. Some people are so wounded and so hateful, and they let negativity and fear and just darkness overcome them so much that they repeat the same cycles. Like, I was abused as a child, I'm going to abuse my children. They don't think consciously about that, but they're not trying to help or fix that. And that's where generational curses come from. So making a conscious effort, because love is the only thing that's going to save us. And I'm talking about like women, like maybe women who have been wronged by a man, and so they're man haters, and they raise daughters and sons to be ashamed of their own masculinity. That's wrong. That's so wrong. To be ashamed of the fact that they're a boy because they have so much. And kids pick up on that, whether you say it or spell it out or not. If you hate men and you're raising a son, and you are not conscious of it, and then they feel you actually subconsciously make them ashamed of being a boy. And so you kind of, it causes this universal imbalance. Same way, if you're a man and you have a couple of gold diggers, or just horrible bitches for wives, I'm sorry for the term, but there's assholes and bitches of both genders, and that's just how I talk. So anyway, you know but not all women are that way, not all men are that way. And don't, it's really important, especially if you have children, to think about these things, because when you have a child, just having a child alone, anyone can spread their legs, or whip their thing out of their pants and spread their sperm, but it really takes a certain kind of human being to raise a child, and it creates a lot of karma. Just the fact, the act of the ritual of making love and having it and conceiving is a spiritual act. And you can't just create children because you don't want them to baby trap someone, or because, that's a whole human being. And when you decide to become a parent, you need to commit beforehand to the fact that, just like with a pet, it's the same way with a pet. You need to commit to the beforehand to being there at every turn of that person's life, and to support them and help them grow in a positive manner in any way you can, and make them be, because they are our future. That's our future. So it's like, this imbalance between genders, races, this hatred, ignorance, this is why we're getting ready to go through a reset, a cataclysm. But that can be avoided if we make a conscious effort to show more love to humanity and be just kind to each other and better people. If we respected, the whole politically correct thing, it's political. Because politics has created, in an underhanded way that's not actually, obvious to people on a day-to-day basis, but they work hard to create divisions among classes, races, gender, and that's why it's called politically correct. But if we just respected one another and showed a little love to our neighbors and everyone, and showed some humanity and some charity every once in a while, and not expect anything in return, just do it to help, then we wouldn't have to have PC. We wouldn't have to have all this bullshit that the governments and politicians have created in order to cause divisions. Russia's done this for years, and they're masterminds. In fact, Putin was Gorbachev's favorite in causing conflicts among nations in places just like we're seeing on Facebook and stuff. They're masterminds in creating stages like there'll be people like at a protest. Say for instance, there'll be two groups at a protest, but they will plant the people that are protesting for the righteous cause. They will plant people in there to shoot other people. This is politics, okay? World leaders, and say it was the other group. And this is how wars happen. This is how they pit society and against society, man against man, man against woman. This is all a matrix, and you've got to wake up and realize that this is bullshit. It's all bullshit, and we need to honor one another, respect one another, and really just men and women were meant to be 50-50 balanced, and we were meant to honor one another, and that's how the universe has worked. I mean, everything since duality became into a pair, since the one source split into Mother, Father, God, into the two sources and moved them forward in motion, and that's when you have motion, time starts. And when Creator, the one still magnetic light, began this whole thing of duality, okay? It was meant to be balanced. And we have such a gross imbalance, and that's when the reset buttons hit. And we're in the midst of a reset button that's going to happen really quick in the form of a solar micronova or huge super flare from the sun, okay? And that causes the earth to stop spinning for a few hours, and then it reverses motion, and oceans cover the land, and there's very few places that will make it. That's all the flood myths in the past. That's what that's about. And there's a nuclear winter, and you can't grow any food. And that's why you find all these underground networks for trade over in Turkey, everywhere. And the Star Forts were part of this too. So just look into it. But really, the message here is we can be a better Earth. We can really be better. We can do better. We can evolve instead of regress like we're doing right now. And, we just need to open our heart chakras and show a little love to one another, That's all. I mean, that alone will make a huge difference. and it will have a ripple effect throughout the entire universe, not just the Earth. Okay? I love you all, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.